All right, race fans, we are back. Episode number 4 of the One to Go show. Your host, Ryan Aho, and we got Changa in the house, former right-hand man, former track champ up at the Proctor Speedway, multi-time national championship crew chief. So, Changa, how the heck are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. Just, keeping busy.
Oh, it's been a week. I know everybody's chomping at the bit to kind of hear what we have to say, but I want to start with this. No Bert this week. We want to give our best wishes to Bert. Bert's kind of dealing with some health issues right now. Sounds like he's gonna have to go under the knife here in the next week. So he's gonna take a little hiatus here. His health is 1,000% more important than us jabbering with us couple knuckleheads on the show here. So we just want to give our best wishes, speedy recovery, and we'll see Bert soon. We already missed the guy. You know, he's been doing the show 6 years strong, and want to make sure he's all right. That's the most important thing. So with that said, speaking of health, right? How about health care, impact health sharing? So if you pay for your own health insurance, whether you're a family, individual, couple, maybe you have a small business, maybe you're self-employed, maybe you have a handful of employees, and it's that time of year, you're looking at your bottom line. Let's face it, Changa, I don't know if you knew this, health insurance across the board is kind of raising 30-40% over last year. I mean, it was already unaffordable for the masses. Now it's just going completely bonkers, right?
I
Well,
mean, that
I
that
might
that
have
might be
something that
more
can
than a
help.
Hoosier
Yeah,
tire.
it is. It is. They went it's definitely more than the 9% a couple years back. I promise you that, right? And the dollar amount and 40% of what they were is a hell of a lot more than that 9% they had a bump in tires. But the fact is, it's worth giving me a call, hitting me up for a message, getting a quote because impact health sharing for a family. I'm talking like 3 or more people, husband, wife, kids, whatever it may be. You're looking around $600 to $650 a month, $2,500 combined household deductible. You can go to any provider. I'm telling you right now that if you're paying too much, if you're paying out of pocket, how can I maybe get some relief on this? I can get you some information, no obligation, right? Quote, pass along the info. If it's a good fit for you and help you save some, if it's not a good fit, hey, that's okay too. But man, I just know people are struggling financially these days, and why not save a few $1,000? I mean, if you can. So that's Impact Health Sharing. My number 218-969-1380. Well, let's get to it. Let's the elephant in the room. Unless you live under a rock, and if you're watching this show, you already know what's going on. And I'll tell you this, I'm just going to start with this. We are not going to have a bang on Barry session for the next hour. Ain't going to happen, right? um I have had nothing but good stuff with Barry. I get along with Barry. I consider Barry a friend. That does not mean that I support some of the decisions. No different than, you know run my mouth. Some of my good friends don't necessarily support what I say, right? It just is what it is, okay? But the fact is, he got arrested here a couple days back, and sources tell me they're going to transfer him down to West Virginia for trial down there. And it's a mess. It's a mess. I mean, there's a lot of financial stuff. Everybody already knows about the drivers not getting paid, and there's some stuff down there with Pennsboro. There's a lot of stuff out there above my pay grade. I can tell you that. I've seen and read and talked to a lot of people, and I heard a lot of bits and pieces, but I'm not a lawyer, not a judge. He's been charged, but he has not been convicted. He's got the legal process has to go through. It don't look real good, but again, I'm not an expert on the subject. But it's a black eye to dirt track racing, just the whole thing in general. Um, what? I feel bad, probably more so for the racers uh, over the whole deal because, I mean, Changa, shit, you traveled with me all the time. We were broke ass race car drivers, and I talked to many drivers. I talked to Troy Liker a while back, and I was telling old stories. It's like shit, man. When I used to race 25, 30 years ago, we'd write checks all weekend long, right? And be like, oh man, I hope there's enough money in there on Monday to cover these deals. I really hope there is. So all of us racers out there going, I can't believe this guy got him in all this financial trouble. Holy shit. All you got to do is talk to some old racers, right? And you're going to be like, beg, borrow, steal, strip cars. I heard people literally stealing cars back in the day. Remember, all race cars used to be stock vehicles off the street, right? Late models even. And we've all heard stories about people literally stealing cars, stripping them, removing the VIN numbers. Bam, it's a race car on Saturday night. It's been a deal forever. I don't know why people are surprised. That's a sport. That's a sport we love, right? This cowboy shit maybe ain't quite happening as much today, right? And this may be a little larger scale than a lot of us have seen, but this ain't new to our sport. And some of you out there that have been really critical, and I get it. I mean, it's easy. I mean, it's an easy target, very easy to have an opinion. Some of you I know, you did the same thing I did. So I mean, it's hard to really judge, right? I mean, but I feel bad for the drivers that are probably not going to see their winnings. I just don't see it. I mean, that's a pretty substantial amount of money, regardless of what happens in court. That's a that's a really big sum of money to try to come up with to reimburse these drivers their winnings. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know. I look at it and I'm like, man, that seems like a tall task. But man, above and beyond that, Changa, my biggest concern is Hibbing. I mean, what do you think? I mean, right now, so Barry XR took over the Hibbing Speedway last year, and tried some stuff. Some stuff did not go well. Some stuff went well, and he learned throughout the year. And I'm thinking, oh man, he can have a learning year, and maybe right some of the wrongs in 2026 that maybe didn't go well in 2025, right? I had plenty of conversations, and it kind of sounded like it was going to go that way. Is there even going to be racing in Hibbing in 2026?
Well, God, I wish I knew that answer, right? I mean, it's a big unknown and up in the air, and when the promoter of the racetrack is in jail or potentially out of state for litigation, hard to run a racetrack for one. Needless to say, it's a state or I mean a city or county owned facility, if I'm not mistaken. So,
City,
a city,
city of
okay,
Hibbing, yeah, city of Hibbing owns
sure.
it.
I mean, so that I don't know what the ramifications are for what's happening within their lease with him. God, I just don't know. I don't know if how long the lease is for, if there's an out clause in it. Boy, it's just it's just a big unknown at this point, and that's a big fear for us. I mean, racing is you know a lifestyle on the Iron Range, and I couldn't even imagine what it would be like without it up there.
Yeah, let's dissect this a little bit, right? And again, I just want to say, I mean, I said this on many shows. Having a race and not paying the racers, bad deal, right? That's a bad deal. You can't do that. I never could have raced if I didn't get a paycheck. So that deal, bad deal. Can't do that. I mean, it's just the world we live in. It's hard to judge because we've all done shit and stupid shit, and it's just the world we live in. But let's dissect this situation, right? So number one, right? He takes over the Hibbing Raceway, changes it to Hibbing Speedway because originally back in the day it was a Little Daytona Hibbing Speedway, big half mile, and he wanted to go back to the roots. It's like that sucks. I mean, it's a Hibbing Raceway. It's been Hibbing Raceway forever. Let's change it back to that, right? But lawsuits, that's not a they don't take a it's not a 2-3 day process. They
Oh,
take a long time. Something of this nature, this kind of money, this could be an ongoing process for months or even multiple years, right? So if you're the city of Hibbing, now I don't know what's in their lease agreement. I don't know if they have maybe there's something in there where potentially maybe he breached and they can get out of the contract if this all goes off the rails. I don't know that, okay? But let's assume that he kind of crossed his T's, dotted his I's, and they're locked into this deal with them. If you're the city of Hibbing, do you really dare, right? Be like, hey, we're go ahead and have this other party start running the track, and we're gonna null and void his lease because let's say that he actually wins litigation, right? I mean, everything I'm reading, it may probably don't look that way, but again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge, I don't know, I'm not there, I don't know all the facts, right? All we see is bits and pieces. Let's say he wins this, but they took away his livelihood, took away his business of running the Hibbing Speedway based on him getting arrested for it, but not convicted of it. He gets out and he's like, what do you mean somebody else is promoting this? Now he's got a lawsuit against the city of Hibbing. So they can't just so they got to talk to the city attorney over there and make sure that if that's the direction they're looking, they better cross their T's, dot their I's, protect themselves from possible litigation from him. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I would assume they're gonna probably wait a little bit on this if that's the direction they're heading, right? So I assume that if they decide, hey, before we void his contract, let's at least let this play out a little bit, see what's all what. And if they wait till after the first of the year, let's say they get into January, February, right? And they're like, nah, we're gonna void it. Now, to my understanding, the city of Hibbing, between man hours and everything, between everything they did this past year, to the best of my knowledge, about 300,000 the city of Hibbing put into the Hibbing Raceway last year. Okay, you got a little visitor that we like dogs. I got to be honest, Changa. I like your dogs. Which one we got there?
That was Nordy.
I like Nordy. I'd rather visit
He
with
just let
Nordy
himself right
sometimes
in
than
the door.
people.
He knows how to
I
work the
saw
door
that. I
handle.
saw that. That's pretty
They got
cool.
a doggy door
Well,
right
we
next to
all
him.
like dogs. I like it. So, so the city put allegedly about $300,000 into the facility. Okay, and we all know there's a lot of stuff there that just didn't get finished. Orange fencing still up. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. But they put all this money into the facility. The people that ran the track prior to the last group that actually ran the track, a few members of that board, not the entire board, but a few members of that board stole money, didn't pay a bunch of bills, didn't pay taxes, didn't pay rent, didn't get the lease renewed, right? So next thing you know, Barry's got it taken over. And if this deal goes off the rails, pretty soon they're like, well, holy crap. First of all, we got a bunch of theft. Now this guy in prison and he ain't, screw it. Or we're out on this deal. Let's just build buildings on this facility. We don't need this headache anymore. I mean, we just put 300 grand into it. The city of Hibbing could very easily be like, don't need this headache. That
Well,
would be super unfortunate.
I can promise you that the college there next door would love to get their hands on some of that property so they could expand.
That would suck. Now, if that were to happen, everybody and their brother will be cocksuckering Barry Braun. Just what it is, right? They'll be like, that guy got this closed down. Not so fast. Not so. Maybe part of it, if that ends up happening, right? But if this place does not open back up in 2026, I put a big chunk of that on three key people that were on that last board, right? The secretary, the treasurer, and the president. I'm not going to mention their names. The people, if you know who they are. But those three entities of the board that Iron Range Racing Association had, because they put themselves in a position to not pay all these bills, taxes, not pay the rent. And the city of Hibbing said, we're done with this. We're done. We're going a different direction. So had they done what supposed to do and at least had communication with the city and said, hey, we're kind of in a bad spot, worked it out, ran it honestly, Barry never would have been there in the first place. He would have never in a million years would they have taken it away from the association that had been there for multiple decades running the Hibbing Raceway. The next group of people I put it on is the city of Hibbing. When this bidding process came out, Changa, was the same time that the internet went crazy with the Peyton Taylor video about drivers
Mhm.
not getting paid. And all of this information was funneled into the decision makers for the city of Hibbing. They were aware of this. They swept it under the rug. They pretended like it never happened. So now that's another group of people that you have to put this on, because there was a group of people led by Jeff Provenzino and a multitude of others that were willing to take on the undertaking of running the racetrack, knowing full well, because every one of us knows that it's not a profitable venture, but we were all willing to do it. Okay. And they decided to go the other direction with Barry, despite the minimal amount of knowledge they had of possible improprieties at the time. Okay.
Mm.
So if the track doesn't open, yes, Barry would be partially to blame if this all goes downhill, for sure. But he ain't the only one. He's not the only one. So all these people up there that are saying, "Boy, you would have been better off with the association." The association about got the place closed down. I mean, what are we talking about? That's the way that it was ran is why Barry got the track in the first place. So I want to make sure people understand that. Now, the next thing is this. Let's say they decide, you know what? Let's go with a different group. If there's another group of people, if there's another group of people that want to run the racetrack, hey, we're going to have to do something to keep this place going. First of all, I don't know that there is. I don't know if there is. I'm sure there is. There's people that want to race, right? But the problem is this, Changa, it was almost 100 grand, and probably over that. I don't know the exact numbers, but a very substantial amount of money that the association owed multiple vendors in the area, back taxes, rent, all this stuff, right? When they gave the track to Barry, they literally sold every single thing they had that was property of the Iron Range Racing Association. They sold it all, liquidated everything they had, and used that money to pay off, to the best of my knowledge, the large majority of the vendors, if not all of them in the area. I don't know. I think they might have got some relief in a couple different areas, but they liquidated everything to pay that all off. So let's say you get another group come in. They got no grader. They got no water truck. They got no sheep's foot, which I think, well, they're still necessary. Packers. They got no. They got no headsets. They got no radios. They got no scoring loop. They got no scales. They got no tech equipment. There's literally everything out of the kitchens is gone. The freezers, the cookers, gone. Right? They got nothing. Literally nothing to run a racetrack. Now, just top of my head doing a little math, right? I mean, you look, even if you get a lot of the stuff used, you're looking at a couple $100,000 legitimately. I mean, graders ain't cheap. That's probably the biggest. They might be able to get a grader to use for a little while from the city. How long are they going to let them do that, right? So if this doesn't transition over in a very quick period of time to somebody else, in the next month before the first of the year, boy, that leaves the next group, if there is a next group, in a world of hurt, wondering how the hell do we come up with enough money to get all this together and put a schedule together, and all the stuff that it takes to. I mean, people think running a racetrack is like, well, shit, races don't start till May. I mean, you got months before. No, people that run a racetrack, they're starting now for next year. They're not. I mean, they're not starting in March or April or whatever. They're starting now, and man, oh man, I mean, that's a bad deal. And God forbid they wait until the lawsuit's done. I mean, that could be months or years, and they might just say, "Hey, we're just going to keep it closed until we find out what's going here." There's a lot of question marks in Hibbing. I am massively, massively concerned the life of the Hibbing Raceway moving forward. Any other thoughts on that? Maybe that I missed.
God, I don't know. I think you covered it pretty well there. I mean, I'm very worried, and I would say that, well, I'd be shocked if they do open next year. I mean, there's just so many things that would have to fall into place. Now, I don't know what the contract is. I don't know if, say, Barry's son or someone else can run that while he's not around. I don't know if they'd even want him to.
Right,
You know,
right,
I don't know
right.
if the city has an out clause in it or not. So I would say, there's probably a better chance that they don't open the doors next year than they do.
Yeah, it's a very troubling time. It's super uncertainty. And again, I mean, at some point the city's going to be like, look, this is a shit show. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we don't need this headache. and you know as well as I do that. I mean, you think Iron Range? I talk to some people that aren't even from the area, right? They're like, when I think Iron Range, I think racing. I mean, because for years, I mean, Hibbing was a hotbed of dirt track racing, and if Hibbing's down, that's going to hurt Rapids. That'll hurt Proctor. That'll hurt Bemidji. I mean, everybody hurts when a track goes down. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I mean, it's a possibility. Even if they say, "Hey, we're going to hold off for a year," I mean that's a mess. That puts tracks in a really bad spot for the next year or so, and it's just bad for all the racers, everybody that's got cars. So um, I can tell you this, and we said this last year when Barry got it. Whoever comes in, whether Barry gets acquitted of everything and he comes back, or if his kid takes it over, or if they take it away and a new group locally takes it over, you better look deep inside. I mean, and there's not many people more critical, right, than me. I mean, I'm pretty opinionated, as people know, right? I'm not afraid to share my opinion. But man, oh man, when you see something like this and you really start to do a gut check about, holy shit, is there even gonna be racing? I mean, could they close this place? If it opens back up, you better thank your lucky stars, and you better be appreciative. And when nights go bad, you better be like, hey, at least we got a racetrack, right? And that's kind of how I felt when Barry took it over. It's like, hey, the last board bankrupted the place. They could have very well shut it down. The city came in, they were supportive. They're like, hey, we got his back. We want this place to go. We're willing to put money into it. Chamber of Commerce, everything looked like that relationship was going good. And it's like, well, shit, I'm gonna cut them some slack for a year, and hopefully something can go good out of this deal. I just want to see the place go. I don't care who runs the place. I want to see the Hibbing Raceway succeed, and I think there's a lot of us that feel that way. And there's a lot of people really frustrated with what's going on, rightfully so, for sure. But I guess at the end of the day, it's hard to. I just don't want to bang on them too bad until we know all the facts. I mean, there's nothing. Everything's been said 4 billion times on the internet, just hammering on them by everybody, and it's like some poor decisions were made. It just is what it is, and we've all done it. We've all made, maybe not to that magnitude, but we've all made poor decisions, and it's just hopefully something good can come out of this, and hopefully there's racing next year.
A couple of thoughts, and this is totally hypothetical, but suppose Hibbing were not to open next year.
I don't
I
like
mean,
your attitude. Just
yeah,
stop
I
right
know, and
now.
I don't like my attitude either. But I mean, could you see Grand Rapids or Proctor moving to Saturday night?
Yeah, yeah, I could.
You know,
And it's a possible that's something that's a possibility, right? I mean, let's face it. Sunday nights are terrible for dirt track racing. I don't give a shit who you are. You take James Trantana, there ain't a guy out there that puts more money into the purse, and like he tries his ass off at the Granite City Motor Park. He really does, right? And he can't get cars. Well, half the reason it's on a Sunday. It just is what it is. I mean, centrally located, all that money into it. Proctor's had a really good racing surface. The track was fantastic last year, right? Terry Little did a hell of a good job. 12 people in the grandstands. Part of that's marketing and all that. I get it, but Sundays are tough. It's way more profitable and a way better deal to be racing on a Saturday than racing on a Sunday, and it's not close. Um,
well, I
Thursdays,
guess
I don't know. Thursdays in Grand Rapids might be the answer because it's a lake town, right? So a lot of people can go to the races on Thursday, go to the lake Friday, Saturday. So I mean, I don't know.
no, I guess the only other question I have, and I have seen this couple places today, though. Once this does get to litigation, do you think they will stream it live on XR Plus? And if so, do you think people, I mean, there's got to be a lot of people interested in subscribing to see that, right?
Wow,
Wow.
wow. I'm gonna say probably not. I
Okay.
think probably not. Yeah, that's. I saw that one out there. I saw a multitude of those out there. I'm like, oh man. Like I said, feel bad for the racers, feel bad for the family. I mean, he's got kids, and I know Jackson, and it's like it's a bummer. I mean, I don't. They got to be going through hell right now with this whole deal. So I mean, we can bang on Barry and whatever for everything that's happened, but there's some people that are kind of caught in the crossfire on this deal that, when shit goes wrong, it ain't necessarily their fault, right? And they're going to be victims of this, on both sides of the equation. So yeah, it's I guess now it's just kind of wait and see what happens. We might have more info by next week, but we'll definitely keep everybody in the loop as we learn more. Let's give a shout out here to our friends up in Ashland, Wisconsin, Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating, home of the Galloper chassis. Chris and the gang up there, number one sponsor of the best series in Wasota racing, the Northland Superstock Series. They do custom fabricating, powder coating, sandblasting. They get any part you need for a race car: tires, wheels, shocks. I mean, anything, safety equipment. It's that time of year, right? Regardless of where you race, because they can ship, right? Regardless of where you race, that is your go-to place for all things racing. Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating, Ashland, Wisconsin. So let's do a little World Finals recap. So back to a little bit of racing. The last major event of the year. It's a big event. I don't call it a crown jewel necessarily. Place was packed though. Record crowd. Hey, Thursday night,
Yep.
record crowd. But the World Finals, of course, that's where they run all three classes: World of Outlaw late models, World of Outlaw sprints, and the Beasts of the Northeast, the Super Dirt Car Series, big block modifieds. 3 complete nights of racing for all three classes. It's kind of a spectacle. It really is. There's some really good cars down there. What stuck out to you?
Well, I think obviously after last week, the track conditions, there wasn't a bunch of holes and ruts and cars doing trick moves at 4 feet up in the air. So that was kind of a, you know, the racing at that place leaves a lot to be desired for me. I mean, they did have some good finishes in a few of them races, but
Thought it was better this year though, wasn't it? It was a
I
little
mean,
better
it's
this
just
year.
maybe, but it's just it is what it is. I don't feel like it's all that great a racing at that place, and thankfully they did have a couple of good finishes. Otherwise, the races would have been a complete snoozer, to be honest.
Right, right. So just a quick little recap, right? Of the 3 nights. So night number one, your top three in each class, right? Rico, Gravel, Corey Day in the sprints. Hudson O'Neill, Sheppy, and Drake Troutman in the late models. Matt Shepard, Alex Payne, and Matt Williamson. Night number two, David Gravel and Rico swap spots. And then Donnie Schatz from deep to the podium. Hell of a run for Donnie Schatz. Superman, Jonathan Davenport, Troutman, Sheppy, top three in the late models. Alex Payne, Williamson, and old dirt late model legend Tim Fuller getting third in the big blocks. Night number three, Buddy Kofoid getting it done. Rico and Brent Marks, JD Huddy, and Drake Troutman, his third straight podium. And then Williamson, Yankowski, and Jack Lehner. So when I look at these, I got a couple people that stuck out. Give me a couple names that you're like, holy shit, they had a freaking good weekend.
Well, I mean, needless to say, you can go with Rico, but I would have to say out of all of them, it's Troutman, right? I mean, 3 podiums for. I mean, Troutman had a nice year. He was fast at times and showed promise and showed talent, but he's not ever been known for being a model of consistency. And he run up front and had good speed, and he was in the hunt all 3 nights. So yeah, I would say he would be the surprise.
Yeah, and if I got to go late models, a guy that has been kind of ho hum. He showed some speed at times, but just kind of not really contending a lot this year. Brandon Shepard had a hell of a weekend, a second, third, and a fourth, right? So I mean, two guys right there. And then, of course, JD, I mean, he was a DNF night one, then he won the next 2 nights. I mean, so other than and he was running somewhere towards the front there when he broke, wasn't he?
I don't even recall,
I
but
think he was up there. How about in the sprint cars? You talked about Rico in first and 2 seconds. David
same thing.
Gravel,
Gravel got a second, and then he won on, I think it was a last lap pass on the
yeah,
second day, if I'm not
it
mistaken. And
was
then he was leading and jumped the cushion and wrecked on the third night, and he was probably gone the third night. But
right. Another one, Spencer Baston had a pair of top fives. right? And he was in his new ride, I believe, right? So maybe that's something to kind of look forward to. Somebody that could contend for some wins in 2026. Spencer Baston running good, and then of course in the big blocks, I mean Williamson, your champ. I mean, unbelievable weekend, third, second, and a first. I mean, he was the guy to beat. Now, is there anybody that stuck out to you that was like he should have just stayed home?
Well, that would be the smooth operator. He probably should have just went there, started the feature, and then loaded up and celebrated all weekend.
Yeah, it was not championship weekend for the late model guys. It was championship weekend
Absolutely.
because Devin Morand was also a chump. Because as bad as Pierce did, 12th, 16th, a lap down in 23rd, Devin Morand didn't make any of the three features. Your Lucas Oil champ. So the two champions right there in the late models, junk. I mean, I heard speculation. Bobby Pierce thinking about going Lucas Oil Racing next year, just so he doesn't have to go back to Charlotte
Yeah.
because he's
See that
awful
happen.
there.
Well,
Yeah, yeah,
and we'll talk about this a little later, but if you saw the World of Outlaws special, it's got even more Midwest racing in it this year. So
I did see that. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But yeah, when I think bad weekends, the late model champions kind of took the cake on that. They were just absolutely terrible.
RTJ didn't
So
do.
let's.
RTJ had a really rough weekend too. Two of the three
Yeah,
night.
he did.
Well,
Yeah, RTJ. I'm just kind of looking at it. I mean, he wasn't in the top five
well, and he
any of
was.
the
I
three nights.
think he was had an engine laying down on him the last two nights.
Right. Turbo had a couple top fives though,
Yeah,
fourth and a
Turbo
fifth
was
for
pretty good.
Turbo.
Yep. Yep.
I was kind of surprised to see that. So speaking of silly season, right? So I got a couple things. I know you got a couple things as well. Why don't you talk? What what stuck out to you? So silly season, who's switching cars, schedules coming out, so on and so forth. What did you hear
Well,
this past
so
week?
so the Skyline Motorsports team, the Bruning second car that was vacated by Mike Marlar, sounds like they're going with the young kid Dallin Murdy in car 13 in the AK chassis, and they're going to start out at Speed Weeks, and they haven't announced what tour they're going to run, but they're going to run World Outlaws, or
I would
start
have to
there and run
think,
a pick and
yeah.
choose. That Bruning kind of changed to a pick and choose halfway through the year this year, but I would anticipate that's what they're going to start out doing anyhow. Um, I
Well,
saw.
let's pause there. Let's pause there, right? So I had people say, why should he run a series? Dude, he has to run a series. He has to, right? You're a brand new guy in a late model. You cannot rely on like I'm just good enough to make every feature. I'm sorry, right? This is the big leagues now. This is big boys. It's big boy racing. This ain't SLMR. This ain't Wasoda. Nothing against either one of those. But you're racing against, the best of the best in dirt late model racing, and you come into that deal as a rookie. That travel money is a big deal, right? That's a big deal, and those provisionals are a big deal. I mean, we saw Kyle Bronson try that. Remember, Overton did it a few years ago. Worked for him when he was on a rail. He made every show. He was contending for wins. He had no worries. Kyle Bronson did the same thing. Holy shit, he couldn't make a feature at all, right? And so Dallin Murdy's a talented race car driver. He's won in our stock cars, modifieds, it don't matter. I mean, he's really, really good. He's going to be super fun to watch, but there's something to be said about locking into a series to kind of give yourself a little bit of an insurance policy because that kind of it spreads out that financial burden a little bit anyway because they also get 6 free pit passes, right? I mean, there's I think it's roughly half price on tires. There's a lot of perks you get from signing on to a series. So I think, and I think you're right. It'll probably be World of Outlaws. Logistically, it makes the most sense for sure. What else you got?
So, Kerry Madsen going back to the Vermeer 55 ride, replacing Hunter Schurenberg. Um, I I think they're kind of undecided where they're going, but leaning towards World Outlaws as well.
That'll be interesting to see. Surprise, Schoenberg had. I mean, he had a few good nights here and there. Any word on where he's gonna go?
No, I mean I haven't heard anything yet. It's pretty fresh, so I didn't haven't heard a darn thing that way.
Yeah, so the Madman Kerry Manson, I think he ran the for the Vermeer team at one point
Yep.
already, right? I think he's
He
kind
was
of
there.
come back to that
I
deal.
think he was there before Schurenberg.
Okay, okay. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. You have another one there too.
Yeah.
What's
So
another one you got?
So Stein Motorsports, they own the Cody Overton ride this year. Sounds like the gentleman that owned that ride just decided it's time for me to retire. Been doing this long enough, and he's hanging it up. And so Cody Overton was out of a ride. He did, I guess he did lock up a ride with the Billy Hicks 79 for this weekend. That's the line or the ride that was vacated by Donald McIntosh. I don't know if that's going to be a thing going forward into next year. I know I had heard on another podcast somewhere that there was the problems that maybe McIntosh had with lack of crew or lack of financing for a crew potentially was maybe a problem there. So we'll see where that goes if it goes further into next year or not.
I talked to my buddy Steve here a couple days back, and he's like, I'd love to have a super late model team, right? That's kind of been a dream of his, and he's like, I'd love to have it. He goes, but right now, financially, I mean, these teams, there's more teams leaving. I mean, yeah, I think it was Sean Martin, I believe, the Viper Risk Management team, Viper Motorsports. They kind of pulled the plug here a little while back. Um, another team. I mean, there's been other teams recently that have just been like, we're done. We just don't have the money anymore. We got to be done. And part of it is these purses, right? I mean, you look at, I mean, 100 grand to win, boy, that's pretty. 100 grand to win is pretty. That's sexy, right? But when it's 20 grand for second and 10 grand for third, and then it drops like a rock from there on back. I mean, dude, you go to some of these big shows like that, it costs you 3, 4 grand, 5 grand to unload your race car. Well, how many times in a row can you just keep on doing that over and over before you're like, this financially makes no sense whatsoever, right? So, I mean, I get it. It's been kind of a fad over the last handful of years. Got to be 100 grand to win. Got to be 100 grand to win. But for the health of the sport, do you think you probably get the same result if everybody across the board, all of them, they all said, look, if we all do this, it ain't going to be a big deal. Everybody go 50 grand and then take that 50,000, right? And
Spread
spread
it
that
out.
out. And I mean, because I mean, shit, from to the best of my knowledge, you don't make the show, right? Let's say you're one of these guys that doesn't have a provisional, you don't, or maybe you're out of emergency provisionals. It's like 150, couple $100 tops to be a non-qualifier. Well, holy shit! If you're a new team, right? Maybe you got a newer driver, and you're like, hey, I got it. We want to go do this deal. That ain't gonna last very long. I can tell you that. And that's why Mark Richards said, I'm not in the business of developing a driver, right? I want somebody that's already been there, done that, because you can't afford to do that. You cannot afford to just develop a driver the way these purse structures are. And then you see a guy like, Sean Martin, you see this guy here with that owned Cody Overton's team saying, and let's face it, Cody Overton wrecked a lot of shit this year. A lot of shit. He was fast. He was fast, but oh my God, did he tear some stuff up? Not all his own fault, but some of it was. Um, I mean, that had to have been a very, very expensive year for that team. There's no way that team got out of the season without hemorrhaging a couple $100,000. Just no
Oh,
way.
God.
Not possible. Not possible, right? And unless you have an unlimited bankroll, man, that's a tough, tough deal. So I don't know. It's not a surprise. We'll see what Cody Overton does moving forward. He's got talent. The kid can find some speed. In fact, I would argue that he probably had more speed at times than Brandon did on this year. Obviously Brandon not as hard on stuff as Cody, but Cody's not quite as refined yet. But I would think he probably end up finding a full-time gig, for 2026. At least we hope so. We don't want to see
Yeah.
drivers without a ride. Any other driver stuff before we jump into the next part here?
No, I guess that's about all I got. Not necessarily a driver thing, but something I don't know if you saw. I was saw a Facebook post. USRA was posting their national champions, and I was reading on there. So our local boy Cade Nelson won the USRA late model championship, and they made a post. Cade will be taking home the $1,000 national championship check in a couple weeks here. I about fell over. I'm like $1,000 for a national championship, and I don't care what class you're in, boy. I mean, them boys, they traveled, large distances to be able to race in that car for $1,000. It's unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we've been there, done that, right? I mean,
Oh,
and Jimmy Owens had an interview here this last week talking about exactly that. He's like, man, when I went back in the day, we'd go racing and be like, hey, our track's raining out and we're going to travel over here a couple 100 miles. And, well, what are they paying to win? Oh, shit, 300. $300. Well, yeah. Like, what do you mean? It never was about the money. I mean, how many times I mean, obviously you can't just hemorrhage money out unless you have an unlimited amount of it. You can only do that for so long. But I don't know. I mean, these days of this 100 grand, this 100 grand, that, I mean, we saw that that's not a very profitable venture. We've seen that. And I think that you're going to see less of it. In fact, looking at the World of Outlaw late model schedule, it seems like, I don't know if that was the case this year, but a lot of the races they're not 50 grand to win, they're 40 grand to win. So I don't know if they did that last year or this year, but they kind of reallocated a portion of what used to be the 50 grand to win shows throughout the field a little bit. So they kind of moved some money around. But their schedule came out, World of Outlaw late models did. And I got some notes here, but what stuck out to you on the World of Outlaw late model schedule for 2026?
well, I guess a few of the notes I had was just some of the more local stuff. April 30th to May 2nd, obviously Mississippi Thunder for their big showdown there. June 19th and 20th, a doubleheader down at the 141 Speedway. Let's see, Ogilvy, June 22nd. I think that's probably I don't know, is that the first time the World of Outlaws have gone to Ogilvy or?
No, I think
I
they're
mean, I know
there
they
in
were
like
they were there for an
19 or something
XR
like that.
deal. Oh, okay,
No,
okay.
they World of Outlaws been there, but it's been
Mm,
5, 6 years,
sure,
something like
sure.
that. Yep.
So I-94 on June 24th, they're gonna have them. Now, didn't we just see here last week or something? They were gonna have a high limit sprint car and a World late model show at I-94 this year. So
Yep.
they're kind of going out on a limb. River Cities again, Nodak Speedway again, the end of June, Norman County again. That's kind of normal, and then Deer Creek for the Gopher 50, and then
Here's what's interesting about this week that I'm gonna pause you there, right? Is I don't know if you noticed this or not. There's travel, it's every other day, right? So Monday at Ogilvy,
yeah, they did
Tuesday,
change that up. Yeah.
yeah, Monday at Ogilvy, Tuesday travel day, Wednesday at I-94. Well, that's not that far. What are we talking? 2.5 hours, three
Right,
hours, something
right.
like that, right? So they're giving them days off and whatever. So Monday at Ogilvy, Wednesday at I-94, Friday at River Cities,
Hmm.
Sunday at Minot. So every other day, and then they got Monday as a travel day. Tuesday they go back to Ada on the way
Yeah.
back, and then they got Wednesday off, and then they go Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the Gopher 50 down at Deer Creek. So interesting and probably a good move not to go every day. Bam, 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 bam. It's nice to have that. I mean, probably good for the crowds, probably good for everybody to have that day in between, little travel, a little bit less stress on everybody. They can kind of regroup each night. That's kind of an interesting deal.
I guess, and I talked to you about this and you didn't think it was so crazy, but I did. I thought so. After they're done at Deer Creek on July 4th, their next race is July 8th out in New York, 841-mile trek cross country to go race in New York, right? I thought that was a little odd and then they do have two races in Ohio, which was, I think, like 250 miles from the tracks that they're going to, you know, back to back in Ohio after that. But I'm like, God, it would have made more sense to me to hit something in the middle of that 841 miles in the 4 days you have to get to New York.
Right. Unless they look at it as, hey, take the trip out there, take a couple days to kind of regroup and get your stuff together after a pretty strenuous
Yeah,
swing
for
here, right?
sure.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 8 shows there in about in about a week, in about a
Mhm.
little over about a week and a half's time. So they probably figured a little bit. But that, I mean, you're right. I mean, that is 800 some miles is a distance in between. Interesting to go all the way to New York for one race instead of a
And to come back.
yeah. So it is interesting. Of course, the USA Nationals will be at that again this year, July 30th, 31st, August 1st. Couple here that stuck out. So they're starting the season January 22nd, 23rd, 24th, Sunshine Nationals at Volusia. Of course, they added in the Hendry County deal, which a shit show right on top of Alltech, which whatever.
You know, and it'll
Um,
probably rain out and be null
yeah,
and void, a moot point. You know,
yeah, could be, could be. But West Virginia on the shortened track on June 12th and 13th. So they're on the shortened track there. Now they're going from West Virginia all the way up to 141. That's kind of a hike over a few days span too. But I'm interested to see the World of Outlaws on the shortened West Virginia track. And then I don't believe they were at this track. This seems new to me. October 23rd, 21st, 24th, Little River Speedway in Modoc, South Carolina. I think that's a new one.
yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it ends, of course, at the World Finals, November 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. So, interested in 141. That's a race I'm interested in. The Northern Swing. I'd like to hit one of them if I'm in the area. I'd like to hit one of them races in the Northern Swing. Of course, going to the USA Nationals, but is there one more than the other that stuck out to you like significantly or not really?
Not so much, no.
Well, let's jump into the next segment here. We got a little WISSOTA news here. All right, we had the WISSOTA meetings this past week. WISSOTA annual banquet. Brad Parsons Soil and Ag Solution. I'm gonna bring you this segment. So if you're a farmer, Western Minnesota, North South Dakota, right, you're probably doing, probably out in the fields right now doing some stuff. But if you want to make more money, I mean, because we can't count on prices to be up, can't count on that, right? But if you can get if you can get better yields, maybe that'll help compound that a little bit or make it a little bit better for you, a little bit relief. Well, how do you do that? You call Brad at 320-219-3542. Learn about all the great products they have to see if you can put some of what he has in your spray packages to have a better 2026. That's Brad Parsons, Soil and Ag Solutions. So with soda meetings, pretty quiet this year. Pretty quiet. Not a ton of breaking news. Couple pretty cool things though. There is a couple cool things that happen. So before we get into the actual classes, there's not a ton there, right? There's going to be WISSOTA will have as soon as they get the exact verbiage, they'll have the press releases come out. As they come out, we'll probably talk a little bit more in depth on each of those items. But first things first, talk about hemorrhaging money. They pretty big deficit there. They looked at how much they're paying out in point funds and they're like, boy, do we need to cut back on this? I mean, do we need to set a top 10 at these tracks? Should we pay top 5? Should we pay less than national points? It's like, what are we going to do? It's like you got to remember they don't have a lot of sponsors. So instead of going out and getting more sponsors, they decide they're going to up the fees for all the tracks. And I don't think it was a substantial amount, but if you're a smaller track out there and you're just kind of on that getting by deal, a few of them promoters reached out and they're like, this kind of bullshit. This to me, this is more money than it is to a track that maybe has deeper pockets. So they're like, man, why don't they just get more sponsors instead of hitting us up for more money? So that was a question posed to me. That is a good question, right? Um, Salaries were up $2,000 this year overall, which ain't a big sum of money, right? 2,000, but they didn't have a tech guy that they paid. So they did hire some social media stuff and all that, but salaries were up. They're going to go way up next year when they have a full-time tech guy again. So if they were already a little tight on cash, they're going to have to it's getting harder and harder to get sponsors, but I feel like they're going to have to get after it and see if they can lock in a big sponsor or two to they got to create revenue. See, you can't create revenue for WISSOTA by just hitting the drivers for more fees at the 100 and then hitting the promoters for more fees during the season. I mean, that you just get rid of WISSOTA at that point. Don't need you anymore. Right. It just is what it is. I want WISSOTA to flourish, but I mean, if the only way they can survive is just taking more money out of the people, the few people that are left going to these races. I think they got to look at different avenues to make that happen. That's just my opinion. Um, 7 or 8, sounds like there's 7 or 8 people in the interview process for the full-time head teching job for 2026. Of course, this year that was headed up by Todd Good, Tom Wagaman, and the face of it all was Pagonis. He traveled around. A lot of people thought he was the head tech. He was not. It was Tom Wagaman, Todd Good. They were the co-head techs, but Pagonis was kind of the face of it all because he went to all the racetracks and he was kind of the representative. He is one of the 8, of course, trying to get that job. As per my source, they said the protest rule that we discussed about the Little Dream and the Red Clay Classic, where it was vaguely written in the rule book, and precedent had already been set that you protest a driver, not a spot. Well, sounds like they agreed upon that the verbiage is going to come out that you will be allowed to protest any spot or any driver. So it's going to be more clarified. So we'll wait to see what that verbiage exactly says when it comes out. One positive, one cool thing here, we gave them some shit 2 months ago, maybe. Colton Schuler, street stock driver, right? He's rookie of the year, point leader, and he had raced pure stocks at Montevideo, Madison, Wilmer, kind of dominated, ran really well. And they're like, that's too close to a Wasota street stock. You're no longer eligible for that deal. If you look at my race pass, Trent Keller was the rookie of the year for the street stocks. Well, they made a decision to have co-champions, and Colton Schuler and Trent Keller both got Rookie of the Year honors. So I'm gonna give a little hat tip there to the folks at Wasota. I think they got that right. I mean, you can't be screwing this Colton Schuler out of the deal because he ran a pure stock that made no sense. Glad to see they got that right. Now as far as classes, Mod 4s, there's a couple tracks out west because they're big tracks out there, and something with the engine packages and gear ratios and all that. Changa, they were pushing for quick changes in Mod 4s.
Oh,
Kind of thought that was interesting. They did kind of compromise, right? And it sounds like they're going to go to a 4.9-inch option. I don't know if it's going to be a test deal. We'll know more when the actual rule comes out. So sounds like 9 inches are going to be out in the 4s now. Specifically because the way the gear ratios and all worked out, you go from the small tracks they race onto the big half mile, like at Rapid City. They needed to have a different answer for that. Street stocks. This one's kind of big, Changa. About damn time.
giving them Berts.
Burt style transmissions will be legal in 2027 officially. They're going to have a phase in year. Sounds like they might do something with the automatic transmissions, take the torque converters out and make them a direct drive deal. So it sounds like there might be something going on there to kind of have a transition deal into 2027. But they finally got that passed in 2027. Open transmission rule, by far one of the coolest things I heard out of the meeting. About time. Super stocks, they are talking about testing an aluminum intake on super stocks. Leave that damn class alone. There's no reason for it, right? I mean, you can't tell me there's a shortage. Changa, you blowing up motors in your cars, right? How many times did it wreck the intake when you blew up?
I don't, not very often.
Ever?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've seen them
Uh,
wreck,
yeah, I've blown a lot of motors, never heard an intake manifold.
but I
So
have
there's
seen
no.
plenty of cracked intakes in my life.
Yeah, that happens, right? But I mean, there used to be 750, 800 super stocks. Now there's 250 to 300. Them intakes are still
No,
around, though.
no. Is it a factory aluminum intake or is it an aftermarket one?
Aftermarket spec. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be under $200. Sounds like they're going to do a test deal on it, get a few drivers on it. Sounds like I think they're going to dyno it. Sounds like there might be a little bit of a performance gain, but they want to make sure they go to a dyno and actually see the numbers. I don't agree with this rule. I don't think there's any reason to change this. I think just leave well enough alone, but kind of is what it is. Pure stocks, good rule here. They're going to go to used tires. Tread depth deal on pure stocks. Really good deal. Really, dude, they race for $100 to win most places, right? $100 to win, and you see people pulling in with 2 brand new tires on their car every week. Don't need brand new tires on their car every week. That's unnecessary in a pure stock. I mean, you can get more than one night out of a set of tires. I know people that spend 4 or 5 grand on their tire bill in a pure stock. That's ridiculous. I like the tread depth deal. I think
I mean, I hate that though. I mean, it's impossible to police. I mean,
it might be, but they do it with the crate late models. The crate late models all have, or not all of them, with the Gen X series, they have a tread depth deal. And it happens over the
I mean,
country. I
the
mean,
thing
it's
is, the damn tires come with no tread depth to begin with. I mean, it's
they're pure stocks. I mean, quite honestly, pure stocks should just be on OEM tires.
there you
If you
go.
ask me.
There you go.
Yep. And you need to get them from Duluth Tire. That's where you need to
Well,
get them. Talk to Changa. Talk to
yep.
Changa. So that was kind of. Oh, the other thing is a lot of discussion. A lot of people, they need to change the point structure to this. Get rid of heat points. Get rid of that. And they said, look, we can't change the point structure every single year. We can't do that. So they said we're going to stick with what we had. So the point structure, all that stays the same as it was in 2025. In 2026, they're going to kind of run through some numbers and see if they maybe want to have some changes for the following season. So quick shout out here, East Central Sports. They are in Rush City, Minnesota, just north of the Twin Cities on I-35. Your number one source for pit bikes, kids ATVs, golf carts, Toro lawnmowers, and a whole lot more. Talk to Mac. Let him know you heard about him on the One to Go show for $100 discount. You can get a hold of them at 320-358-1994 or check them out online at www.eastcentralsports.com. So we're not doing the championship deal, but we are going to do stump. It was going to be stump Changa. Now it's going to be stump Changa, and Changa try to stump Ryan. It's going to be name the driver. Okay, 2025 top 10 in national points. Any of the classes goes. Okay, I'm going to give you some statistics here based on the 2025 season, and then whoever guesses the driver in less guesses wins. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm all about winning. You're probably going to whoop my ass on this.
I doubt it.
All right. This driver
If I
had
would have known it was
40.
that, I would have like picked some obscure person.
Right, right. Well, the top 10, none of them are obscure. We talk about them all. Give them some love here. 42 shows in 2025. Okay. 42 shows, 31 top fives, 28 podium finishes, 10 wins on the year.
10 wins.
10 wins. That's that 25% win percentage. That's pretty solid. That's a pretty solid year right there. 28 podiums is a really good year. It's a really good year.
28 podiums?
28 podiums in 42 shows. 10 wins on the year. This driver got third in Minnesota state points. So I gave you wins. I gave you podiums. I gave you third in Minnesota state points. That's 3 clues right there. Okay.
I'm going to go Russell Kiker Jr.
Boy, that's a good guess, but it's wrong. Wrong. Russell Kiker Jr. Good guess, but wrong. Russell Kiker Jr. Good guess, but wrong. So that's one guess for you. All right. So this driver won feature events at 4 different racetracks. One of the tracks, the Casino Speedway in Watertown, South Dakota.
Ryan Flatten.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That is correct. He won at Fiesta City, KRA, Casino Speedway, Madison. Madison second in points by 5 points to Scott Tofty. KRA track champion, 5-point win over Jason Vetraba. Hell of a good year. I mean, Ryan Flotten solidly inside the podium finish every single week. He was on our hot list a good portion of the year. Shout out to Ryan Flotten there. All right, who do you got? What do you got?
Okay, so this driver raced at 4 tracks this year.
Raced at 4 tracks.
Okay.
Okay.
This driver won at 4 tracks this year.
Raced at 4. Won at 4. Okay.
This driver had 36 shows.
So he won at all 4 tracks that he raced at, and won 30 and raced 36 shows.
Yep.
Okay.
32 top fives.
Okay.
33 top tens.
Okay.
19 wins. That's all the stats I got, so you better start guessing.
19 wins. Jeff Roner. Not Jeff Roner. Oof. All right. Well, I got one guess down. 19 wins on the year, 36 shows.
I figured you'd have had it by now. I didn't even put nothing else together.
Oh boy. So this person would have been top 3 in points.
36 shows only though.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't.
This person finished 7th in national points.
7th in national points.
I guess that's I don't know if I call it a statistic, but I'm trying to make something else up.
7th in points with 19 feature wins.
Mm-hmm.
And raced at 4 tracks and won at all 4 tracks that the driver raced at.
Yes, sir.
Troy Liker. Oh,
Pretty sure I won already anyhow.
you did. Give me the class.
Street stock.
I'm trying to think who only raced at 4 tracks. I don't think he made it that far up. It wasn't. Was it Jimmy Gullickson? Let's see who else was up there. It wasn't. It wasn't Brower. It wasn't. It wasn't Rant. It wasn't. Was it AJ Keller?
That'd be a good guess, but no.
It wasn't Dykhoff because he finished better than 7th.
Yeah, and he raced a ton of tracks.
Yeah. I feel like Vogel raced more than 4 tracks.
Well, he followed the street stock tour.
Yeah, it wasn't Hess. He
Mm-mm.
raced all over the place. Wasn't Gresseth. It wasn't Rant because he definitely raced more than 4 tracks.
I'm down to 15 minutes.
All right. give me another clue. Try to come up with something.
The car number is 11
It is?
with a star.
Dyke. It wasn't Dykoff or Rant. Was it Rant? Levi Rant?
No.
Oh shit! Petrov,
Yes.
Rocket Rob.
Yep.
God dang. Yes, that makes sense. Rob Petrov. You whooped the shit out of me on that. Damn. Good job. All right.
All right, that
Pick'ems.
contest is over forever now.
I'm gonna get a lot of shit from Waltz this week because he probably got that a long time ago. Pick'ems. Last week we did a draft for the World Finals. Rain Man outdone Dano by 4 points to win it. So our standings in the draft, Rain Man got it done. Good job, Curtis. Dano second. Chonga third. Governor fourth. I got fifth. Beefcake and Youp are tied for sixth. Man Bun Dan, Worker Bee, Tardy, Bromance, Bert, and congratulations, Coach Kraus, on a last place finish. Our week 45 overall, Dano and Rain Man tied. I'm at 753, Chonga, and you are
Wait
24,
a minute.
27 points behind me.
Didn't I tie too?
Mm-mm.
I thought we all tied.
No. You and
Oh,
I tied. You and I
oh,
tied, but Rain Man and Dano tied for the
okay.
most. Yep. So, yeah, I'm at 753. You're at 726. Governor Josh Waltz up into the top three at 706. Dano at 699. Bert at 697. Rain Man, Rain Man fell out of the top five.
He
Then
wasn't in the
Uper,
top five. He was
he
in
was
six.
was
He
he
was
in
in
six going in?
end of the week. Yep.
Okay.
Remember, Bert said last week
I
he
thought
would.
Dano. I
Bert's
thought
bold
yeah, they
prediction
had to win.
last week was he would not pass me in. In fact, I will gain the rest of the year.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
No.
Uper, Coach, Tardy, Worker Bee, Man Bun, Beefcake, and Bromance. So what are we picking this week? What races? You got them written down?
Yeah, I do. This week we're picking the duel at Moab Valley Raceway, Bullhead, Arizona. It's an IMCA or it's IMCA sanctioned. We're picking championship Saturday mods, stock cars, and sport mods.
I think that's the replacement for what used to be the Duel in the Desert at Vegas. I think that essentially moved down to Bullhead City.
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
Yep.
We're picking the Flow Racing Night in America Peach State Classic at Sonoya Raceway in Sonoya, Georgia. Late models Friday and Saturday. We're picking the Turkey Bowl at Springfield Raceway, Springfield, Missouri, Saturday. Late models, modifieds, and B mods. USAC National Midgets Hagerstown 100 at Placerville Speedway out in Placerville, California, Friday and Saturday.
That's gonna be awesome. That's always a good show.
We're picking the 410 Sprint Car Showdown at Baps Motor Speedway in York Haven, Pennsylvania on Saturday. And then the Freddie Smith Memorial at Cherokee Speedway in Gaffney, South Carolina, late models on Sunday.
Inaugural, first ever. So that's
Okay.
gonna be super cool. Sounds like there's gonna be some hitters at that one as well. I'm most looking forward to the Placerville USAC midgets. They always put on a hell of a show. That's gonna be fun to watch. Um, Bold predictions. I know that you're getting close. You got a meeting to get to. So bold predictions. We had a few come off the board. We're cleaned up. We're caught up. We're back to where we should be. So Bert had a few come off the board here. Episode number 282, which had been a couple weeks ago. World Finals. All Lucas podium on the final night. No, Drake Troutman got third. Last week he said Lucas Oil top five, better average finish than the World of Outlaw top five in the late models at the World Finals. Nope. No, not because of Devin Moran. Devin Moran stunk it up. That did not happen. Didn't make a show. Then he had two come off the board that were correct. Episode 283. Matt Shepard, David Gravel, Superman, Jonathan Davenport all win at least one. And they did. And then way back, episode 253, 30 episodes ago, Brandon Shepard, more Lucas wins than Brandon Overton. Shepard had two. How many did Overton have?
0? One,
One.
no, one. One.
One. Yep, so you got that one right. Chonga, you had a pile of them come off the board here. Episode 252. Chasten Finkbone wins at least one.
Yeah,
Nope.
we did that one last week.
Yeah, he didn't edit it off the board though. Episode 253, David Gravel wins by at least 200 points. He won by 108. That was wrong. Episode 253, Hudson O'Neill, more Lucas wins than Sheppy and beats him in the points. Huddy got 5 wins, finished 4th. Sheppy got 2 wins, finished 5th. That was correct. Good job. Episode 269. That should have came off the board, but it didn't. Little Dream. 2 of the top 3 will be non-tour drivers. Thanks to a DQ, you got that wrong. Dykhoff first. Rant third. I think we were waiting on the ruling to come back and then just forgot about it. Episode 282. Nick Hoffman, better average finish than Bobby Pierce at the World Finals.
Well, that happened.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say. Episode, and then 3 of them that you picked last week.
All of them
World,
were.
yeah, World of Outlaw late models and the sprint cars. Top 2 would go winless. Well, Gravel and Colfoy each won, so that was wrong. You said Rico would have 0 podiums. First, second, and second. That was wrong. And you said that you'd finish outside the top 5 in the draft. Changa, you got the O for last week. That was wrong as well.
I don't accuse me of not being bold, I guess.
You were bold. Uper had 4 come off the board. 253. Mike Stearns would win at least 5 with Soda late model wins in 2025. Did he get that?
Doubt it.
He got 4 with Soda and 1 tri-state. Bad beat. Bad beat. Yep. Episode, and then he had 3 come off the board from last week. World of Outlaw regulars would get 50% or more of sprint car top 5s. Well, they got 5 of 15, so that was incorrect. He said Bobby Pierce, David Gravel, and Matt Williamson would all win at least 1 this past weekend. Your boy Bobby did not. He did not. So that was wrong. And then he said non-World of Outlaw late model regulars would get 50% or more of podiums. They got 6 of 9. That was correct. I had a shitload come off the board. Episode 252, Turbo. Most Longhorn wins of national drivers in 2025. You had 14. Next best was Gustin at 8. That was correct. Episode 2.
Say that again. Most long.
The most non-Longhorn wins.
I thought you said most Longhorn. I'm like, wait a minute here.
Yep, most non-Longhorn wins. Turbo. Yep. Episode 253, World of Outlaw, Lucas and Flo. Infinity by Wells will have more wins than Rocket. I put that down as a yes, and then I did the math. I'm like, oh shit, that might get changed this weekend. But Infinity has 7, Rocket has 5 in those 3 divisions. Rocket could tie them up. All the rest of them, all pretty much Longhorn. Yeah, so reign of terror right there.
How many did Gustin win all 7, or did someone else get one?
I think I think Marlar. Yeah, I think Marlar had some there. Okay. Bobby
Marlar
Pierce
won in a Longhorn too, so
right. Yes, he did. Episode 253, Bobby Pierce would win. His win percentage in Woo would be over 43%. It was only 25.6%. That was wrong. Episode 259. This is a week of May 12th to 18th. I said Rico and Gravel would win at least 1, and a non-points driver would win 1. That was wrong. Episode 268. This is a while back. Burdick's best average. Burdick would have the best average finish at the Twin 25s. That was Ashley Anderson. That was wrong. 272. August 20th. Donnie Schatz would have at least 3 more top 5s over the rest of the year. He had 2. That was wrong. Episode 282, the combination of Tyler Nicely, Mitch Thomas, better average finish or better finishing, combined finishing position than Charlie Mefford and Michael Altobelli at the World Championships. That was correct. Episode 282, a non-Woo Lucas driver. A non-Woo, non-Lucas driver would have the best average finish at the National 100. That's correct. Jimmy Owens he had averaged a 3rd. That was correct. And then 3 of them off the board last week. At least 15 different podium drivers at the World Finals. Any guesses how many?
14.
15. I got that right. All right on the nuts. I said Mike Harrison, Cade Diller, David Gravel, Tim Fuller, Chris Madden. At least 4 of 5 would win. 3 of them won. That was wrong. And then I said Tim Fuller, Rico Abreu, and Madden would have a better average finish than Pierce, Gravel, Williamson. Barely, but got it thanks to Bobby Pierce. So I got that correct. All right, so this the standings right now, we keep track of correct predictions, correct percentage. Changa, we're tied 33 money. 33 for you and I. Youper at 30, Bert's at 21. Correct percentage, I'm at 41.8, you're at 40.7, Youper at 35.3. So let's make our laps around the track. I got Youper's here, I got my own, got yours. Bert's on a little hiatus here, so we're gonna give him the space and the break he needs to worry about his health there and get himself back into fighting shape there. We need to have him back at full strength. So we're going to give him a little time off with Tucker Craft. That's what we're going to do. All right. What do you got? Give me your first prediction there, Trongo. What do you got?
Why don't you let them go first?
Yeah, Youper to go first? Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
Well, it's me, Youper, and you. It's just us three.
Yeah, so let Youper go first.
All right. Bobby Pierce, no podiums at the Castrol Flow Racing Night in America at Sonoya this week. No podiums for BP 32.
I'm going to go with Sonoya as well, and I'm going to go JD erases Bobby's point lead and wins the Castro point standings.
Okay.
And I think it's hefty. It's like 58.
Yeah, it's 48. 48.
Oh, 48, okay.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna go my first one here too. USAC National Midget Series. Kyle Larson will get a podium both nights. A podium both nights for Kyle Larson at Placerville.
I think if you wouldn't have said that, half the guys wouldn't even have known he was going to be there.
The guys that matter would have known.
That's me and you.
You would have known. You would have done your research.
Yeah.
So Kyle Larson, podiums both nights at Placerville. I'm writing that down so I can send it to Youper. All right. Youper's second prediction. He's going to go back to the well as well. Castrol Flow Racing Night in America, Peach State Classic at Sonoya. Superman Jonathan Davenport, at least one win, but for sure, at least one win and podiums both nights. At least one win, podiums both nights. All right, your second one?
Well, and I don't know if this is even freaking bold now because I had someone outside the top 15 in USAC midget points would win at least one race at Placerville.
Someone outside the top 15?
Yeah. And USAC midget points. Assuming in my mind, I'm like, all right, Kyle Larson's going to win one.
Well, I guess. I mean, you want to stick with it? I mean,
yeah, I do because I've been way too bold lately.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take my my second one here. I'm going to go to the duel at Mojave Valley Raceway, Bullhead City, Arizona. TM3, Troy Morris III. This is just random as can be right here. Troy Morris III on the podium Saturday night in the mods at Mojave.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And I got Youper's third and final prediction here. Hudson O'Neill passes RTJ to claim third in the Castrol Flow Racing Night in America points. He is currently 36 points behind him. Now, he did clarify in here that both races need to happen for prediction 2 and prediction 3 to be valid. If one rains out, neither one of those are valid.
Can I add that to my first pick? That's if both races happen.
Too late.
Is it?
Fuck off. No, you can if you want.
Okay, I'm going to if both races happen.
Okay. Yeah. So Hudson O'Neill passes RTJ to claim third in points, and he has third, specifically third, And boy, it's a tall task. He's almost 100 points behind JD. So probably, I mean, he could do that, but RTJ'd have to have a rough one. I'm guessing Huddy's going to run the 6. I haven't heard for sure.
I would think,
Yeah. So your third and final one. What do you got?
I'm gonna have to. I don't even know what to think of. I'm gonna go to the Dome in December and say at least 3 Wasota drivers will make the main event show.
Okay. It doesn't matter if it's mods or lates.
Yeah, just 3
Probably would
Wasota.
be well, it could be. I mean, it could be either one. You never know. I mean, we've seen some pretty obscure drivers make it in the late models. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see one of our guys make it. So I said Youpers, you got yours, and we're down to my third and final prediction as well. Castrol Flow Racing Night in America Peach State Classic.
Talking to go get Colton.
Ashton Winger is gonna get at least one podium.
I know, hurry.
Ashton Winger, at least one podium. All right, Changa, I'll let you get to it. I know you got meetings, you got hockey to get to. I'm Ryan, that's Changa. Thanks for tuning in to the One to
You
Go
cut
Show.
out on me there. I didn't hear what it said on the Ashton Winger. It cut out.
Oh, Ashton Winger, at least one podium at Sonoya this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yep. All right, man. Peace out. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. We'll keep everybody in the loop.